Hi, I'm Mike Milton for Erskine Theological Seminary, wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. The great hymn, "We Gather Together to Ask the Lord's Blessings," can seem like a sort of mockery this year, can't it? Because of the restrictions due to the pandemic, we're told to limit our gatherings. Many churches will not be open to carry out the presidential proclamation. We'll pray in our homes, though. We'll seek God's face. And I think that we can have one of the most remarkable Thanksgivings ever. Because when some distractions are removed, other truths have the opportunity to shine. This morning I want to read in a Thanksgiving message from Psalm 89, verses 1 through 4. This is the inerrant and the infallible word of the living God. I will sing of the mercies of the Lord forever. With my mouth will I make known your faithfulness to all generations. For I have said, mercy shall be built up forever. Your faithfulness you shall establish in the very heavens. And listen to this. I have made a covenant, a sacred promise, a binding obligation upon God Himself. I have made a covenant with my chosen. I have sworn to my servant David, your seed I will establish forever and build up your throne to all generations. The two things I want you to see here emerging from one great truth. God is faithful and true, and our thanksgiving is bound up in that singular glorious truth. He is faithful and true. He is faithful and true, first of all, in His character. Did you see the way the psalmist began by speaking of God's mercy throughout all generations? God's character, as revealed by Himself through His holy word, is that He is a merciful, loving, and gracious God. And it's that character that leads to the second truth that supports His faithfulness and His truthfulness, and that is God's covenant. God's kindness produces God's covenant. For God's covenant is the ancient promise before the foundation of the world, and then lived out and expressed with various Old Testament personages. Moses, from Abraham, Moses to David. And it is this. There was a great exchange at Calvary. God took your sin and you got His life. To believe in Him is to enter into this covenant. Everything else, as they say, is gravy. And speaking of gravy, I trust and pray you have a happy Thanksgiving with gravy and turkey, or maybe you've got something much less than that. Whether it's feast or famine, or whether it's good times or bad times, you might have cancer and you're suffering. This may be your last Thanksgiving. Or it may be that you are discovering Thanksgiving through the eyes of a child, maybe their first year, their first Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, when it is rooted and grounded in God, transcends circumstances. It transcends orders to stay at home and not assemble. It transcends health. It transcends loneliness. It's based on who God is, His character, bringing about His covenant. Erskine Theological Seminary believes in that Christ and that covenant. Since 1837, the seminary has prepared men and women to proclaim the unsearchable riches of Christ. Erskine Seminary is the oldest continuing evangelical seminary in North America. There's a responsibility that goes with that. It's also in this passage. In both the character of God and the covenant of God, He says His character and covenant will extend to generations, all generations, until He comes again. And that's our hope and prayer, is that we may be faithful in the Scriptures, faithful to the Great Commission, to all generations, to prepare men and women to fulfill the Great Commission as teachers, ministers, counselors, pastors, business people. On behalf of the faculty and staff of Erskine Theological Seminary, we wish you a very happy Thanksgiving.